These are the assembly instructions for my Venture Machine Galentine's Day bag. I've made a much larger version of one of my previous files, which was the Galentine's Day bag. This one's a little bit different because I needed to strengthen it with some extra pieces and layers. I'm starting with the rectangular panels with these little oval cutouts. I have my decorative pieces. Now, if you look on the panel itself, you'll see some score lines that help guide you to position your panels where they need to go. So I have my center panel that's going to go here, and then I have the two side panels, like so. So I've got my patterned cardstock on 80-pound white Cricut cardstock. So I'm just going to glue down my decorative panels. I now have these panels that are going to go at the top. I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to look for those score lines and match them up with my panels and glue my decorative panels in place. I'm going to take one of my front or my back panels, and then I'm going to take the top panel and I'm going to glue it so that it's flush at the top and on both sides. And that should leave the openings clear on both sides. And then I have these two decorative pieces. Now this is cut out of Cricut foil poster board, and I'm just going to glue them over the openings so that center cut matches up with the cut that's on my panels. I'm just gluing them down on both sides, just like so. And I'm going to do that exact same thing with my other panel. So next I'm going to assemble the hardware that holds the handle. I have two handles and I have two of these pieces per handle. For each one, I'm going to take one piece of the foil poster board and I'm going to put glue on the underside. Then I'm going to take one of, this is just cut out of 80-pound cardstock. This is just to make it sturdy, or you could cut this out of craft board as well. I'm adding 2 layers on the underside, and then I'm adding glue again, and then I'm going to layer up my foil poster board. I have my foil layers on the exterior and I have 2 layers of 80-pound cardstock on the inside, and it makes a nice sturdy piece. So I'm going to do that 3 more times. All right, so next I have my 2 side pieces. So my 2 side pieces have score lines down each side. So in the center, there's a line that goes all the way down to the point of a triangle. I'm just going to fold down on that center line until it reaches the top of the triangle. And then I'm going to fold on the line that goes from the corner to that center line. There's one on each side. And so I'm going to do that with the second side as well, the exact same thing. And so next we're going to work on the largest piece of all. We have score lines for the tabs on either side. And then I'm folding down on the score lines that run the width of my bag. So I've just put some Beacon 3-in-1 on the back of my decorative panel, and then I'm using my brayer to make sure that that whole panel sticks down. I've kept everything stacked up on those openings. And then I'm going to rotate my piece and put the second decorative panel on the opposite end of my piece, like so. So next I have some ribbon. This ribbon measures about 5/8 of an inch. I'm going to use this ribbon for the base of my handbag and for my handles. I need 2 lengths of this ribbon at 26 inches to begin with for the base of my handbag. What we're going to do now is install the holders for the handle. I'm just going to flip my piece so that I'm looking at the interior of it. I folded up the panels of my box. I have 2 score lines here. I found the midpoint between these 2 panels. Between the 2 score lines, it measures 6.5 inches, so halfway would be 3 1/4. So I've just put a tick mark at 3 1/4. So I folded my piece of ribbon in half, and I'm going to cut off 18 inches of this double-sided tape. And I'm going to fold my double-sided tape in half with the sticky edges outwards. So I have the fold of my ribbon on my right hand side and the fold of my double-sided tape on my right hand side. So I'm just going to adhere half of my double-sided tape to my ribbon, and then I'm going to adhere the other half to the other side. I just want to make sure that that double-sided tape is positioned in the middle of my ribbon. I have my base piece again. I folded my ribbon piece in half with my double-sided tape on the outside, and I am positioning the halfway mark of my ribbon on the halfway mark of my panel. And so I want to position it so that my ribbon has the same amount on the top and the bottom, so it's at the center or the halfway mark on the opening. I'm going to remove the liner of half of my backing and just flip my piece over so that it's exactly where I need it to be. So at the halfway mark and halfway in between the opening of my piece. And then I'm going to remove the liner on the other half and lay that other half down so that it's also in the center of the opening, like so. So your ribbon is adhered to your panel, but not quite up to the opening. So I'm taking one of these rectangular pieces, and I don't want to fold it, I just want to bend it over my Cricut tool. And then I'm going to take one of my hardware pieces, and right now I'm just measuring this for positioning. So I'm putting it through the cutout. From the interior, I'm pulling that white piece until my hardware piece, or my purple piece, is right up against the edge of my handbag. Then I'm going to flip my handbag open, and I'm just going to put a little tick mark. So that's where I need to position that rectangular piece. So I'm taking it out again, and I'm laying it flat right on that line. And then I'm going to put double-sided tape from the bottom right to the end of my ribbon, so I know my ribbon goes to here. So in the center of my panel, so that there's the same amount on the top and the bottom. And I'm going to run it right till the little tick mark that I made. And I'm going to remove the liner on my double-sided tape, and I'm positioning my piece exactly where it's eventually going to rest. And so I have approximately the same amount on the top and the bottom, and it's right at that pencil mark at the bottom. And I'm just going to lay my ribbon flat, and then I'm going to put double-sided tape, so just past the score line, and I'm just laying it down, not to the very end, just about 2/3 of the way. So you've got about a little less than an inch at the end. Then I'm going to thread it back through that hole. I'm going to grab my hardware piece and then remove the backing on my double-sided tape. I want my hardware piece to be right at the fold line, right at that score line. I'm just going to tuck my white piece in and then lay my handle flat, making sure that my white piece is flat as well. And I'm going to open my bag again, putting another piece of double-sided tape on the inside. Just lifted that flap temporarily, and then I'm just going to glue it down. And so what that does is it adds some sturdiness to my handles. And I'm doing that exactly the same way for all 4 of my handles. So I have my handbag piece facing upwards, so I've got the decorative side upwards. And I'm putting glue all over that tab that extends past the bottom of my handbag. My side piece has the triangle towards my tab. So I'm gluing my side piece in so that the score lines are flush with the score lines of my bottom, and the bottom of my side piece is right along the score line of my tab. And I'm doing that with the other side as well. So this piece is the liner, that's the bottom of my bag, and these 2 pieces are cut out of craft board and are just there to reinforce the bottom of my bag. So I'm going to glue my craft board to my pink cardstock. So I'm just going to put glue on the craft board side and adhere it to the bottom of my bag. So next I'm making sure that my handles are exactly where I want them. So I'm just putting glue underneath those flaps. I'm just gluing my handle pieces down. So I'm just adding a little bit of double-sided tape. So I just put glue all along the tab, and then I glued my tab right to the cut edge of my panel, like so. And I do that on both sides. I'm removing the backing on my double-sided tape, and I'm going to put glue all over that panel. And then I have one of my liner pieces. I'm just sliding it into place. Then I'm going to do the same thing for the panel that's across from it. So I'm just putting glue underneath my little white rectangles, and I'm pushing down, and I'm putting some double-sided tape. So these are my slide pieces, and I'm just putting glue all over the tabs. The score line on the tab has to follow along the cut edge of my piece. I'm just going in with my bone folder and spreading the glue all over the tabs. So now I'm going to remove the liner off my double-sided tape. I'm just putting glue all over that panel. And then I'm taking my second liner piece, and I'm carefully inserting it into my bag and just adhering it right against the inside of my bag. I think I'll use my brayer now and spread all that glue. So next I'm going to work on the handles. I have the wider strips of cardstock and I have the narrower strips of cardstock. I have two 24-inch lengths of ribbon. The only reason why they're different colors is because I ran out of the black. I'm just putting double-sided tape all along my piece of ribbon. And I'm folding on the score lines at the end of my thicker pieces of cardstocks. These are the actual handles. I'm folding down on the score line at each end. And then I'm removing the liner on my double-sided tape. I'm just going to adhere my ribbon to my panel. And I'm just taking my bone folder, kind of curving my handle. Then I'm going to put double-sided tape over my ribbon. I'm releasing the backing and then placing my thinner piece of cardstock on top. All that does is hides my ribbon. Using my bone folder, and again, I'm just curving that piece. Now I'm just putting double-sided tape from the score line to the edge of my handle. I'm having my handbag, and I'm holding my handle with my thumbs at the top on both ends, and then I'm just bringing my thumbs together. So without twisting my handle, I'm inserting the ends so that they're just right up against the score line, and then I'm folding on that score line. So the score line is right at the edge, and I'm just folding down like so. So that's one handle done. The second one is going to be installed the exact same way. So now I have a couple of embellishments. I have a little nameplate, and I haven't decided who I'm giving this to. So normally I would cut some vinyl with the person's name or sentiment. So I'm just gluing the two layers together. And then I have my bow, just gluing my foil poster board to my white cardstock. And while the glue is still wet, I'm just gonna take my bone folder and shape my bow a little bit. I put a little bit of foam tape at the back of my bow, and I'm just curving opposite ends of my bow over to the center like so. I'm going to put another piece of foam tape over the join, and then I'm going to fold the two other ends over. More foam tape over the join, and then I'm putting my center piece over the front of my bow, folding it over at the back like so. So I'm looking at the back of my bow, and I'm just adding my ribbon piece like so. And so next I have my zipper piece. I have my two layers for the base. I'm just going to glue them together. So then I have my zipper pull. I'm just gluing one to the back of the other. A little bracket to hold my zipper pull. So I'm gluing down the teeth of my zipper, and I'm gluing it a little bit more towards the right hand side so there's enough room for my zipper pull. Little decorative piece that goes at the end. Gives it a little bit more depth. So I'm just threading that little piece right through the hole in my zipper pull, and I'm just going to glue it to itself at the back using some red line tape. I like using my reverse tweezers for this type of thing, and I'm putting red line tape over the join, and I'm adhering my zipper pull to the left hand side of my zipper. Now I'm just going to glue these pieces down to embellish the front of my bag.